And we are live. So I'm gonna put this on.
Woohoo.
Hello. Yep, Angel's on. So welcome to our last broadcast for this year. Hopefully we'll. There's already someone joined on watching live, so that's a good sign.
He's
Right now,
probably
it's only.
see for talking crap about him.
Ha! No, that's not Chris. It's not Mike either. So end of year, everyone's busy, so this might be a small group, which is fine. Uh, Nate, you're still young, so you're presenting, so talk about what you're working on.
I haven't done anything since the bill gathering at your house. Well, actually, I put
Half
some
ago.
primer on here to see the imperfections from the panel lines that I cut into this camel toe part of the Xeon. But in my, I don't know, fat fingerness, I accidentally damaged some of these vents that come in through here on this piece. So what I'm going to do is just replace those parts with this cut zip ties that I made and put them in here. So I'll be working on that and then sanding and maybe find a way to figure out how I'm going to put the fuel tanks on the Xeon. But that's ambitious at best tonight. That's what I'll be thinking about.
Wait, you're putting zip ties in it?
Yeah, because I don't know if it'll pick it up on the camera, but right here on the under part of this camera, there's like this rigid thing here that are, I don't know if they're vents or I don't know what they are, but for the Xeon. Yeah, now the parts of it, I accidentally cut some of them off, so it's really not repairable. So what I'm going to do is it has the same kind of vent look. And I'm just going to fix them like so on here, so we'll still have that vent piece.
This is what you get when you cut away too much plastic.
I know. I suck, I know.
Reinforce it with a metal frame. Cast it in metal.
So that's what I'll be doing.
Cool. All right, I'll come back to you. Right, George joined us. Hello, George.
Hey, how's it going?
So, not playing tonight?
What?
Not gaming tonight?
Gaming? Not at the moment, no. Playing some games a little while ago while I was trying to figure out if I was joining this thing tonight or not. But right now, I'm working on a couple of parts I 3D printed. You know, I've been working on building my own 3D printer, which has not been going well, frankly. But in the meantime, there's a 3D printer at the hackerspace, and so I've been using it to print different parts. And so this one is the leg from the Zakukai. So I did one in 1/60th scale and one in 1/44th scale. And just right now I'm working on cleaning them up. You know, with the 3D printing process, you get all the layer lines in there, and it's you know, I mean, in my opinion, it's actually surprisingly difficult to get rid of those. I mean, you sand on it for a while and it seems kind of smooth, and it's not really that smooth. And
So
you
George,
know, there's
have you thought about a vapor bath?
I haven't gone as far as a vapor bath. You know, I am familiar with those techniques. Mostly what I've been doing is either sanding it or you know, the method that I used most recently on this piece, which I think was actually pretty successful, was kind of sloshing acetone on it and then actually scrubbing the part with a paper towel, because that's, you know, I mean, sanding is just going to take down the high points, of course, and then, like, you know, the recesses are going to fill with dust, and then later the dust is going to clear out, and you'll have the line again. But you know, actually physically scrubbing it while the acetone has it soft kind of pushes the high material down into the recesses,
Okay.
and I think that's pretty. I think that's been pretty successful so far, but you know, it still needs some more work, of course.
Have you thought about like filling it, or
What's that?
what resolution are you printing at?
This was 1/4 mm. The machine I'm working really doesn't work well with layer height smaller than that.
Okay.
Um, at least not in my experience. I might try it again, honestly. But you know, in like the machine I'm using, I'm stuck with an old slicer because it's a proprietary machine, and they discontinued support for its slicer, and so it's like, I don't know how old the slicer is, but you know, among other things, or one, you know, like if you try to do a part with double outlines, you know, more than one shell around the infill, that usually doesn't work quite right. If you have parts where you're printing toward the end and there's just a little piece where it's going back and forth on that one section of the model to finish up printing, it won't give that area time enough to cool, and so that'll usually make like a melted mess.
Or,
But yeah, I mean, it just like doesn't give it enough time to harden, and so it just kind of pushes melted plastic around for a while. But actually, you know, I mean, I guess somebody's been tuning up the machine or something, because I've been gradually doing better parts with it. These ones I actually printed inverted. I was going to try splitting them. Let's see. Initially, I was trying to split them top and bottom, like across this line. Or no, I think that was the second attempt. Originally, I was going to slice them front and back like this. The reason I didn't ultimately was because, you know, printing it front and back or top and bottom like that, it gives you a clean line to sit on the print bed, but it also leaves a whole bunch of material in the middle that needs to be printed with support material, and that was, I mean, this was like a 6-hour print, but with it split into two halves and with a bunch of support material, it was going to take me like 9 or 10 hours. And then this one was like 45 minutes because it's way smaller.
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right.
Yep.
Moving along. Let's see what Angel's up to.
Hello?
You're on.
Okay. Just wasn't sure if my mic was on. So I've been working on the GP project, the Gundam project suits. So I'm figured I might as well just go and pick up one of these too.
Esor, Neve. Oh.
So my screen backwards.
It was upside down, but it's good now.
So I've picked one of those up so I can have it in the background or something. So that's what I'm working on. Just working on building, doing the seam lines on here. Trying to get it nice and smooth, get the seam line out of there. So everything's glued. Now I'm just sanding. And you know how exciting that is. You see there, just everything else sanding away. Yeah, that's about it.
Exciting.
Yep.
So let's go. Right now, what I'm working on is promised a buddy of mine to cast some parts for him.
Good.
So these parts, he tried using the enamel wash to do the panel lines, and what he found out was he did this on the bare plastic. And what ended up happening to these joint parts is they disintegrated. Completely disintegrated.
Time. I hate when that happens.
So he had one good part left, and I gave it to me, and I'm just gonna make a resin cast of this. And I'm supposed to deliver this tomorrow. Yeah. So I'm making the first part right now. Hopefully, make the second part tomorrow sometime or later on tonight if this cures fast enough. And then I'm ready to cast tomorrow. So right now, if anyone has seen this process before, I laid down some Play-Doh on the bottom here, so that acts as a kind of a mild adhesive for it to sit on while so it doesn't float up, and I could kind of press this in a little bit so that I have it's easier for me to cast. What I like doing is I cast 2-part molds for these, so I'm gonna do the first part, and this is done by weight. So let's go grams, scale here. And I'm just gonna throw my silicone in here. That should be good enough. Maybe a tad more. So right now I have about 23 grams of the part A. And this is mixed. The ratio is mixed by weight. It's quite important to measure this out correctly, otherwise it won't cure properly. This is the activator. So it's going to shake this nicely. And apply 10% of this to the 10% by weight to here. So 24, this should go up to about 2.6.
What does the activator do, Clem?
Just kind of it's more like a catalyst. So it hardens up or makes the resin, makes the silicone cure. So if I add a little bit, overdo it, I can make it cure faster. This is already a fairly quick cure by cures within, I believe, 6 hours is a cure time for this. So, and just gonna mix this up nicely, making sure that it's evenly mixed up. Now you can see that it's starting to get a little swirly color. You want this to be a completely uniform color, so you know that this is thoroughly mixed. You want to scrape the sides, and you want to make sure that the bottom is scraped up too, so it mixes up completely uniform. Now I'm not going to worry too much about introducing bubbles as I mix, because I'm going to throw this into a pressure pot. That's going to help evacuate or compress the bubbles into very, very tiny, almost non-existent bubbles. The other way to do it is to put in a vacuum, which will extract the bubbles or extract all the air out of the mixture. For this application, I don't think I don't have a vacuum setup or a vacuum chamber set up. I could probably hook one up, just get a vacuum and do that, but right now I just use my compressor setup for airbrushing to push the air down. So it becomes a pressurized pot as opposed to a vacuum pot. So this looks pretty well mixed. I'm just gonna pour it into my little molds. Legos become very useful for this. Great size, different size boxes that can be created. And I could just let the excess sit here in the plastic cup until it cures up. I could I'll just look at it on my desk and every so often poke at it. Once I could peel this stuff off of the plastic cup, I know that my that my silicone mold is cured. So you can see that there's just little bubbles forming in here. One thing that can be done is to take a toothpick and just kind of poke at these bubbles to get rid of them. There's gonna be more bubbles that come up from the bottom as air fills up on the bottom of the mold. But again, since I'm going to put this in a pressure pot, I'm not too concerned about this. So I'm gonna, let's see here. Give me a second while I set up the other camera so I could show how this process is placed into the pressure pot. I know I've done this on a previous broadcast, but it never hurts for repetition.
Yo, Clem, you still there?
So you should be able to still see.
We can't see
Hopefully.
anything right now.
There we go. So, my camera's set up here. You can see my pressure pot right there. The great thing here is the pressure pot. And hopefully I'll get a decent focus. There we go. So now that I have my silicone here, I'm just going to connect up my pressure pot system. So this is my air compressor right here. It's coming into this setup here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug in the hose for my air compressor into my pressure pot. This is directional, so all I have to do is put this in here, like so. Close up my pressure pot. And I'm not too concerned about tightening this with wrench or anything like that. So hand tightening is good enough.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to over tighten those anyway.
So make sure everything's sealed up. Turn on my air compressor. And if I turn this around, should see this my pressure gauge go up. And what's nice about this is once it hits about 40 psi, it'll stop because that's where my compressor limit is. I bought this pressure pot from Harbor Freight. I do not want to go overboard with this because these are, crappy knockoff tools that Harbor Freight gets from third world countries, or actually, no, they get them from China. So these things aren't. I don't trust pushing too much pressure into this thing because it'll probably explode on me. Pressure's going up, and we can move on to someone else. Hey, perfect timing. Mike Wines just showed up, and look at this pretty little. Hold on. Look at this pretty little Valkyrie.
Yeah, it's coming together.
Mike, you're presenting.
I know.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm still got quite a ways to go. I mean, it looks like it's pretty complete, but I've actually just kind of assembled it to so you can kind of see what's going on. I mean, there's still a lot of wiring to do. I still got to work out the whole. There's the underside, but still got to work out the launch arm and the rest of the backpack. And here's the arm. I had to make some changes to this too because the original claws that I had just weren't going to work. So I modified them to fit the actual Super Strike, because the Super Strike has the turret on one side, so it has to grab a little bit differently. So I finally found a picture of one of those, because the original photo I had was just of a Super Valkyrie without the turret. And so I finally found another picture that has the different variations. So anyway, I got the arms done here. The arm sections that are going to go between the legs, underneath. And let's see what else we got. Here's the backpack.
You've been keeping pretty busy.
Yeah, I did quite a bit this last week. Had 5 days off, so.
Not bad.
And anyway, so yeah, I've got this just kind of primered and stuck together just so I can fit the, start trying to fit the claw on here. Arm claw. I've also got a new magnet. Let me get that piece here. There's a 10mm magnet embedded in the center. Really strong stuff. The one I used originally just wasn't strong enough. So I found these 10mm by 6, and I've tested the weight so far. It holds without the leg armor. I haven't tried it yet with it, but the problem is because I haven't been able to glue this all together yet, that it just ends up pulling the backpack off because it's not glued together. But if I test the strength of how much it takes to pull this off, I think it's going to be strong enough. I just going to have to work on the claw sections here to grab a hold. That'll give it some stability too. It's not necessarily going to hold any weight, but it just sort of keep it rotating and help stabilize it. So that's where I'm at. I also solved the problem with the attachment of the backpack. I actually ran a screw. Here's the screw. But this goes through. Let's see here. This is the fin section that's folded up. This mounts on here, roughly in this position. The screw goes right through the body, right out the bottom. And then where the arms are folded up under here, it covers up the hole. You can kind of see the hole in the center, but you won't even see it with the arms in. In fact, I'll put those in right now. You can see what I'm talking about. So this is also going to be where the gun is mounted. I've got a light going in the gun. It's going to be underneath. Place. Okay, so there's the arm sections. They'll
Now make it
cover up.
transform.
Huh?
Now make it transform.
Motorized
Yeah,
transformation.
that's why I got a second one. I got a second one for Christmas, so I actually got a. It was an all Macross Christmas actually, except for the PG I got from our little gift exchange. Everything I got was all Macross related. Got another SDF-1. I got the TV version. I got the Max and Miria Super Valkyrie, and another Super Strike Valkyrie. Keep me busy for a while. Oh, another thing.
Is that
Also,
arm going to be that big? That long?
It's what's that?
Is that arm going to be that long?
Well, no. I made it longer. I can trim it down as needed, but the rod is gonna. This is basically going to be inserted into a wood base
Oh, okay, I see it.
at about a, I would say 45 degree, but I don't know for sure yet. But it's going to be mounted kind of like, well, if I do it, it's kind of hard to see from above. But, it'll be mounted somewhere like this, so Valkyrie come up underneath it here. See if I move it forward, maybe you can see a little better. So something like that. I mean, but it depends on how much I need. If I need to shorten this up or just have this go down into the base a little bit, I can do that too to make it the length I need. So I just don't know yet. That's why I kind of made it longer, so I can always trim it down. It's a lot easier to trim it down than it is to add to it for sure, especially when I'm holding this kind of weight. So I got these 5mm flat tip LEDs, and two of those are in the thrusters back here. The other two are going to go into the main thrusters for the backpack. So these bells have been painted, and I just needed to work out how to run the wiring through them. But that's pretty much what it looked like. It's got a nice glow to it, and this battery's not exactly perfect, so it should be a little bit brighter. But that's another thing I've got to work out is how to get all the voltages right. I'm going to try to run 3 LEDs per circuit, have them in series, and then run them in parallel to the power supply so I can run everything off 9 volts.
Where you hiding the battery at?
Well, I've been looking at small camera batteries that are 9 volt, but if I have to, I'll stack 3 of the larger button batteries and just build a little holder for them. Because I think what I'm going to do is this side of the backpack without the turret on it is pretty much the largest open area that I have inside. So I think all of my wiring and battery supply is going to be mounted in here. So everything is going to, you can see all the wires coming up through the bottom. That's not including what's in the backpack, but just a big bunch of wires. So they're all going to filter all up to this side of the backpack and be located here. I think this will be something I can leave modular that I can take off, maybe access the battery, and also the switch. Maybe put a reed switch, magnetic reed switch inside, so I can just pop this off and on anytime I need to turn it on and off.
Why not just put the batteries in the base?
Well, then I'd have to run the wires through the base. I wanted to make the Valkyrie detachable.
Yeah, well, you got.
That'd be
Well,
You see what I'm saying?
All right, detachable Valkyrie. All right.
Yeah. So by doing
I was
that,
just
I
thinking
get.
if it's going to be on that arm anyway. I mean,
Hmm. Then it's
yeah, but
then
if
it's
it's
stuck on the
detachable,
arm
that's
unless I
different.
use some small bullet connectors, but I guess I could do that too. So there are going to be some wires on this. I don't know if they're going to be functional or just for decoration, because the picture obviously has some. If you look at my drawing, there's obviously quite a few wires and stuff that you can see externally on the arm. But I think I did a pretty decent job here of the size. I mean, this was pretty much printed to scale, so I use this as my reference. So, that's what I'm doing. I don't know what's everybody else got. I came in late, so. Anybody else busy? Anybody else have a good Christmas? What are you guys talking about? You guys hear me?
What?
You talked about how you haven't showed off your trophy yet.
Oh, no, that's upstairs. I'll go get it. Actually, I have a wipe right now.
We were
guess
just
I'm-
trying to single out the people who haven't seen Star Wars yet and tell them everything that happens.
Oh, I've already seen it. I saw it yesterday, actually.
I was gonna go tonight, but I forgot that we had this.
I know Nate hasn't seen it yet. What are you doing, Nate?
Well, right now I'm holding in place a vent for this ass piece here. So my activators over there, my kickers over there, but yeah, just holding place. It's cold right now anyway, so I think it's gonna see. Yeah, see, there it goes. Yep, sort of.
So, what did everybody else get for Christmas? Anything nice?
Got King of Tokyo.
Nice. Oh, the game?
Yeah.
That's a fun game. Yeah, by the way, George, have you, or if you already have it, maybe you already have it, but have you seen the Bandai Millennium Falcon?
Only online.
Right. We had one. Somebody brought one to the last build gathering. And let me tell you, that thing is friggin' awesome.
Hmm.
What is it?
The
Yeah, I'd
detail.
like to pick one up sometime.
Huh?
I said
Oh,
I'd
the
like to
Millennium
pick one up sometime.
Yeah, I found them on Amazon for around 42 right now, which I think is the cheapest I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, before theirs came out, I had been thinking of getting the fine molds one in the same scale. You know, the littler one that they did. But you know, even that one's like $75 these days.
Jeez. That's ridiculous.
Hmm.
This should go. Oops. Here. Oh, come on. Hey, Clem, did you still there? You run off. There you are. Hey, Clem, did you have on your diorama? Didn't you use some? You're almost like little miniature connectors. Can you hear me?
Shit.
No one. I don't think anybody can hear me.
I can hear you.
I know you can, but Clem's not answering.
I can hear you.
Oh, you're saying anybody who matters can't hear you. I get it.
Uh-oh. Oh, there he is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sorry, that's weird. My mic was on, but okay. Yeah, I had like little connectors on there, and give me a second. I'll show you exactly what they were.
Because I was just thinking what George was talking about, running the wires down the launch arm. I could do that if I had little tiny connectors like that. Those just stack up, correct?
Give me a second. Let me pull up what I used.
Okay. In the meantime, I have this here.
Here. So this is basically what I used. Are these things? These what are called this IC socket pins.
Okay.
So what they look like is they come in a bunch of these, like so. I don't know if you can see that. I can pull it.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mike, what I typically do is I'll cut these up. So you have positive, negative on one side or whatnot, and they just kind of snap into one another like so. And
So basically, you can solder two wires, one on each end, and then just
Yeah.
that would be like a connector.
correct, and that's basically how I do most of my connections for like the electronics on my dioramas. Even the little Suzabi, there's on the chest piece for the jigging. I have something like this embedded in the chest piece, like so. So when it's laying down, it connects to the base, and that's where my connector is set to.
Oh. So where can you find those?
Any electronics store. You can find these at Fry's. They're a little bit more expensive at Fry's, but any electronics store you can find them at. If you're up in my neighborhood, if you're up in my old neighborhood, there's a place called Orvac that sells the stuff.
Called IC.
There are IC connectors. Yeah, pin IC socket. So IC socket. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I might just have to do that then. At this point, it's kind of not really changing much. You just have to run the wires a different route. Because essentially, they're coming to place almost. That would be a nice way to power it. If I put one of those pins or a couple of those pins in the claw portion, where it attaches anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I could have just basically provide power to the Valkyrie that way. Huh. Something to think about.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that's how I power up most of my diorama stuff. And even my Drizzen, I have it powered through that on the leg pieces or the mid body pieces. So it also helps me compartmentalize some of my wiring, so I don't have to have something going through the entire kit. So like, if I have like a leg piece, I would have a connector there connected to the waist and attach that and have another leg piece and so on and so forth. So it compartmentalizes that.
Yeah, I guess that would make it easier than trying to run wires all the way through something you don't necessarily even
Correct.
attach
Ooh,
it easily.
look. Mike brought out his trophy.
Yeah, my wife brought it down. I asked her to bring it down.
Isn't that nice? Show off.
A little bit blurry, so close.
I think Angel needs to get his now.
Yeah.
Well, you got a first place.
Like showing off trophies.
Huh?
Nate's always got to chime in right at the right time. Asshole amigo. There it is.
you need to click over to Angel as he's
I see it now.
putting Mike in his place because I think that one says first place.
It does.
And what place does yours say, Mike?
Oh, I don't know. I scratched it off. Mine says third place. Okay. That was back when there wasn't any competition.
Oh, really? Hey, you gonna take that from me, Angel?
That's hard.
I'll just let him talk.
Oh, here we go.
He does have a third place, so I might as well let him do that.
But along that line, this was a pretty good year, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good time at the show. Our contest was pretty successful this year. Our contest was actually really successful this year.
Yeah, it was more than I think anybody had or thought it would have been.
Which is usually a good thing, as opposed to less than what everyone thought it should be.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
So going back to those connectors, the 0.1 inch pin header type connectors, they're also commonly known as DuPont connectors, and one thing, if you look on Amazon for DuPont connectors, you can actually get a kit that has a whole bunch of different connectors and matching pins. So that might be a good option. There's also similar connectors that you can get that are a little bit smaller. So if those or the pin headers or whatever else turns out not to be quite small enough, then I can point you in the direction of some smaller options.
Okay.
I usually use.
I saw one that Clint had personally. One of the times I was over there, they were pretty small.
Hmm.
Yeah, they were really small. Those are about what, 1.5 mil, maybe. The socket portion, the female side clamp would be like a millimeter or more.
I can find out. Well, I could break them down. So let me go back to presenting myself. So let's get my trusty caliper out. And for these, I mean, you're talking about. Yeah, it's about a millimeter. Oh, no, it's a little bit more than that. The socket portion or the actual entire piece right here? That's probably about 5 millimeters. 3?
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about maybe just the pin itself then. So.
Oh, the pin. Yeah, the pin's about. Yeah, pin's less than, it's about a millimeter.
So yeah, so the socket is about the same inside diameter.
Yeah.
That's a pretty small pin. Then you talk about something even smaller than that, George?
Well, mainly I'm talking about in terms of the overall size of the whole connector. You know, the pin part and the socket part when they're stuck together. You know, those the IC sockets and similar sized ones, they're like 2.5 millimeters between pin centers. So you have like even a 2-pin connector, and it's like 5 millimeters by 2.5, and then like maybe 6 to 8 millimeters long, depending, and maybe longer in some cases.
George, do you have an
Um,
example on you?
what's that?
Do you have an example on you? Just a size
No.
reference you can show Mike.
Yeesh. Let's see.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, I guess so. Let's see these. All right. Well, these ones are 0.1-inch pin header IC sockets, machine pin sockets, probably similar to the ones that you were pointing out, Clem. Though I couldn't really see them. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. Here's one of my microcontroller boards. These are designed for 2 millimeter pin headers. So it's a little bit smaller. Oh wait. I think that this one that I pulled out might also be 2 millimeter. Okay. Yeah, I screwed up. All right. Yeah, I got this, but this isn't really a good size reference because you have to count the holes to see the size difference. But that gets you a basic idea, I suppose. 2 pins being here versus on the 2 millimeter headers, you can also squeeze. You can almost squeeze a third pin into that same amount of space. It depends on the model, of course, but a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, space is really at a premium, and maybe I want to stick a connector in somewhere just to make the wiring easier, and it's not always easy to find space for things like that, I guess.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I mean, if you can find space for a larger connector, then it's a perfectly fine way to go. Gets the job done, right?
I had to, when I did the wiring in those real grades, there was virtually no space at all.
I can imagine.
So, the internal frame and everything, and then put the small scale. At some point, I had to drill basically holes alongside the frame and the armor just to make passages for the wiring. It was the only way to do it. But it worked.
Did you have any connectors inside them, or how did you handle the wiring on those?
No, all the wiring went through. Basically, went through their torsos and out their legs into the buildings that they were up against, and then out through the bottom. So all the batteries and stuff. I never put any switches internally. It was just directly wired to the LEDs that were inside them, down through the body of them. Sorry, man. Anyway, work a little bit on this arm. Been doing a lot of work on the Valkyrie, so I haven't done much to the arm since last time.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Ever since the early days of the 1/72nd scale kits, it seems like people have been talking about, it should have a launch arm, and there were a few kits for a launch arm, but really not that many people actually go through with it and make a launch arm.
Well, that was really the reason I'm making one, is because I probably in the beginning of this would have preferred to buy one, you know, if I had the choice. But I just couldn't find one. So you know, I'm committed now. Before it would have been, you know, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. Now I'm gonna make it work one way or another. I don't get too far into this to give up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just put too much time into it. So. Cut some extra pieces out here. What's that on Angel's bench?
Are you back on me?
Yeah, just wondering what's on your bench. What's that, right?
It's Levine Rose. You weren't here when I was talking about it earlier.
Yeah, no, I just didn't recognize it.
So yeah, I'm just putting that together right now. Doing the 2 lines and everything. So it's pretty boring work over here. Nothing exciting.
No, nobody's really talking about it. Just kind of like the last couple times we all get to doing our thing and then
Yeah.
quiet doing their thing. That's pretty big though. Scaling.
It's 1/1700.
Still pretty big.
Well, it should be. It's supposed to dock the ships. Yeah, it's about as big as in my hand. It's gonna be bigger once I get everything on there. So I'm gonna have that for like a background, do a little vignette or something with the GPL3 or something.
You just get that for a Christmas gift or something, or you have that?
No, Nikki got it for me for Christmas.
You do like big, larger kits for sure.
What's that?
I said you do like the larger kits. I think everybody would agree.
Yeah. I also want to do something a little different.
Get out of the norm. The norm, the comfort zone a little bit. Got you there. 'Cause I haven't done a Valkyrie since. God, I'm trying to think the last time I did one. I mean, it would have to be back when I hand painted everything. Years. I mean, back in maybe high school even. I don't know how far back. I'm trying to think. I did a Macross Plus, I think, or Macross 2. I don't remember. So, you know, I've been doing Gundam kit for 5 years solid. You know, so it's definitely something. Forgot how tough they were to build. You know, you get spoiled with all the way Bandai puts everything together.
Yeah.
If you build something like a Hasagawa kit, you're like, what the hell? You mean I got all these seam lines I got to deal with? You know? True.
Oh, that reminds me. You guys seen the news for the Dragon Star Wars kits?
No.
Yeah, apparently they're gonna do like a 1/35th scale AT-AT. It's gonna be like 2 feet tall or something. No idea how much it's gonna cost, but man, that thing's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I was wondering who would be the first one to build a nice AT-AT kit.
That's right, Mike. You tell them.
What's that?
I have no idea what you're saying.
No, I said I was always wondering who would be the first person to make a nice AT kit. Just, they're always so big, and there's really no models out there. There's some Legos.
Well, a 2-foot model kit sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, it does. No, I was just thinking more along the lines of anybody producing a kit like that. No one's ever really done it, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Am I wrong, George?
What, a 2-foot model kit?
No. Any AT-AT kit, period. Am I wrong?
Oh.
Is there really not that many out there, right?
Well, I mean, there's the old one, and there's the Revell of Germany one. Revell of Germany may have done a second one as well, because they had like their regular pre-painted line, and then they had their quick kits line, which was just like $10 impulse buy type kits. But I don't know if they did a second AT-AT, but they did one certainly. And I got the AMT one way back when and never finished it. But you know, I don't know enough about the detail on the AT-AT to really like spot discrepancies, but I did hear that there were some accuracy issues with the Revell one, which was pretty disappointing. Like, not subtle stuff either, just like the panels on the head were the wrong shape or something like that.
Yeah, right. So, is Nate the only person in the room that hasn't seen Star Wars?
That hasn't seen Star Wars?
Yeah.
I guess. R2-D2 is BB-8's father. Bet you didn't know that.
Yeah. Speaking of those two, have you seen remember when the first Bandai R2 units came out?
Yeah.
They were pretty cheap, like $20-some. Have you seen the BB-8 one now? And the R2?
Just pictures online, but yeah.
Yeah, they're just like $30, $38, $40. Like, God.
Well, I mean, is that like Amazon prices or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kit also hasn't come out yet, right? So we're talking
What?
like pre-order prices or something?
Well, you get both of them, don't you? You get R2 and BB-8.
Yeah, you get them both, but I was just saying that the original kit with the two R2 units was a lot cheaper. Now the one with
You know,
the
they discounted it because that red one had a bad motivator.
That's why it was cheaper.
Yeah. I like the robot chicken skit they did about that. Seen that one?
Yeah. Yeah, who's calling?
No.
What is that? Oh, somebody's cleaning the airbrush? They're smoking a bomb, one of the two. You heard that too. Anyway, I'm just gluing actual like a finishing piece on the top here because see the top and bottom had all this kind of putty filled with putty to flatten out. And now I'm just putting a piece over the top to kind of finish it. I can sand it down and do that.
My ringtone.
Oh. Anybody on the chat line?
One person on there.
Anybody asking questions? No?
This is stuff I'm answering as he's asking it. He's just asking, like, what's wrong with the Bandai LED units. And I told him there's nothing wrong with them, it's just that we're usually doing more than one LED at once. So that's why we...
For a Gundam kit.
Yeah, that's why we don't use those.
Is that why he was asking that? I guess I misunderstood the point of his question there.
Not only that, it seems like too the Bandai ones sometimes have little flickering issues too.
Yeah, that's what I said, is like the switches are kind of unreliable.
I think your mic is either way down or something.
Oh, sorry, I had it pulled away from my face because I was blowing dust off a part.
I haven't had any problem with their switches.
No, I just had issues with the LEDs flickering. I don't know if that's a...
Well, I've had issues with the LEDs flickering, and it's definitely because of the switches. Like, you tap them, and they'll come back on, and, you know, wiggle them a little bit, and they'll go back off. It's because the switch isn't making reliable contact.
I think I took one apart once and actually tried to fix it because of that.
Yeah, I took one of mine apart to change the LED color. Let's see. Here's one. Let's see if I can get it to do something embarrassing. Right. So switch off, switch on. No, I don't think it's out of battery power. Oh, there it goes. Whee!
Is it flickering on you?
Yeah, it's just not reliable in my opinion. You know, I mean some of the aftermarket alternatives. You know, some points I've considered those to be worthwhile just for improved reliability alone. But you know, I do a lot of wiring on my own anyway, so it's, I don't know.
I think for somebody who's never done wiring or isn't comfortable doing it, then it would be the way to go. Nice self-contained LED unit. You know, you don't have to mess with it. Just pop it in, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I think it's a nice system in that respect.
Yeah, especially with the newer kits, a lot of them are coming with a made for an LED unit. You know, they come with a nice space. You don't have to modify anything to pop it in.
I don't really have a good feel for how many kits actually support the LED units. I mean, it seems like it's not actually that many. And not all of the new ones have supported them either.
Huh? 'Cause
Quite
I
a
know,
few, too.
like a lot of the master grades do for sure, like the Jesta did and Super Pop.
The Verkaz, Marasai.
Did the new Hyakushiki have it?
I don't know, I never opened it. You can ask Nate, he's got the Hakushiki. Actually, I think Clem does too, right? He can tell you.
Let's see if I can find out real quick.
Every time I hear that, I get a chuckle out of it.
Let's see. Hayakushiki version 2.0. Where's the thing?
Not sure because the neck, I don't know how big the neck portion is. The head is kind of small, so
Well, I mean, the head size doesn't matter for having a lead unit.
no, I know that, but it's got to have a big enough chest cavity too. Though.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like the Hyakushiki doesn't have it. Let me see.
I know the
What
Gundam
else?
3.0 has it.
Yeah, that one has it.
The Hainu, the New,
Yeah, I knew.
the Sazabi.
What's another new mold? Let's see the double X. Well, that one might reuse parts from the X, so that might be why it doesn't. If it doesn't. Let's see. No, looks like the double X doesn't. Amazing Red?
I wouldn't think so. Unless they use the 3.0 frame.
Don't you have the Amazing Red, Angel?
No.
What was that big thing you built that was red? I don't remember. Recent,
Nightingale?
not the 90s. No, I'm talking about that other, the red Zeta. That's what I'm thinking of. Never mind.
Oh.
No, the Red Zeta didn't have it. It uses the old Zeta version 2.0 frame.
Yeah, well, as soon as I said it, I think I remember.
Yeah, I put it in there myself. The Nightingale does have it.
The Nightingale did or did not?
What's that?
The Nightingale did or did not?
Did.
Oh, it did, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look like the Turn X did either.
Nope. I built the Turn X. Now, because the head is really weird on the Turn X, it's actually got the pilot up in there, so
Yeah, that's true.
no place to.
What are we looking for?
Oh, just trying to think of which recent master grades supported lead units and which ones didn't. I just feel like there haven't really been that many that supported it. For a while, I was actually wondering if they were continuing to do that or if they were just kind of letting it go.
The Jesta has it.
Yeah, I know the Justin has it.
Jesta, the Nightingale.
Gundam version 3. Oh yeah, the Nightingale did have it. That's
RE,
build that sometime.
RE100.
Yeah, that's a good question. Did the Gundam Mark III or the GP4 have it?
GP4. I don't think the GP4 has it. Let me take a look.
God, it seems like there's another kit that I built that has it.
No, not the GP4.
Hmm.
Someone in the chat says Gundam the Origin has one.
Yeah, that's true.
Just probably uses it with the 3.0 frame.
You know, I don't think it does. And the 3.0 frame is like it's very very tuned to all the gimmicks that the 3.0 armor has.
So we got a question on the chat. It says, what's the easy way of getting rid of sink marks or dips in models, in Gundam models?
Sand them?
Easiest way, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's probably the only thing we would do is probably sand them smooth, right?
Yeah, maybe fill them sometimes and then sand them.
And if you're careful about how you cut your parts off, and you usually don't have to fill it necessarily if you bond it correctly. But
Well, I thought he was talking about like sink marks. You know, where pieces of the part getting pulled out of the mold
I thought you
pull
said
on the surface of the part on the opposite side.
which was he asking about, Angel? I thought you said seams.
No, he said sink marks or dips in the Gundam models.
Pink mark. Okay, you're right. Oh yeah, then you would have to fill them if you can't. If they're too deep to sand them smooth, you don't want to be taking off a ton of material. But
So yeah, just what's some putty?
if it's low enough, I mean, I use this stuff. If it's not very deep,
Hold on, let me get
What stuff is that? Surfacer?
the dissolve putty. No, it's a Mr.
Dissolve
Dissolve
putty.
putty.
Hold on, let me get over to you.
No worries.
If you're airbrushing the kit,
Okay, go ahead.
Here's the dissolve. I'm trying to get focus. There you go. That's awesome. I mean, yeah, I've actually thinned it a little bit with some Surfacer 400 because it starts getting a little thick. But it dries really smooth, so if you apply it right, you almost sometimes don't even have to sand it afterwards.
And what's that called again?
This is a Mr. Dissolve Putty.
Where'd you get it from?
I actually bought it at a show, but I think you can find it online as well. I'm trying to get it to focus here.
Okay.
Cool.
if they're not too bad, I just use after I do the first primer coat and I notice that there are like little holes like that from maybe the nubs or something, I'll just like use an airbrush and after the airbrush, I'll just put some Mr. Surface or 500 on it because it's not too thick, like compared to putty and stuff, and it's easy to sand. I actually learned that from Dan. Actually, good stuff.
Surfacer
You can actually
500?
just brush it on and then it fills it nicely. When I first started like a year ago, I went back to my old kits and I noticed I would take care of the nubs, but then they'd have little holes in them after you go back and paint them and stuff, and so that's basically what I used after I read Dan's guide, and I've never looked back at it. But I try to avoid it as much as possible beforehand. So
Yeah.
All right, Nate. So did you get your problem fixed with the skirt?
no.
So it's still broken.
I moved on because I got to figure something else out. It turned out like this, and it doesn't look good at all.
What am I looking at?
Those the vents that I added to it, but I think what I'm going to do...
Vent split?
Huh?
The vent split or something?
The vents are actually in here in this undercarriage thingy.
Uh-huh.
And what happened was when I was drilling it out, I actually chipped a piece of it off. I was like, no problem, I'll just put some zip ties in there because they have that same kind of vent-looking thing going on.
Okay, gotcha.
And I was just going to put it on top of it, but then it just looks like shit. So what I think I'm going to do is that I'm just going to sand this part down, which has the original vents. Let's see if you can see it. I won't focus on it. But these two pieces right here have these actual braided type vents going on. I think I'll just sand them down and then put the zip ties underneath. That one kind of gives it some depth. I thought I could get away with it by putting it on the top, but it looks like crap, and I'm not happy with it. So I'm gonna just touch them out, make up a little bit of fire, and put it in underneath. God, it looks like crap.
All right, give it a break. Give it a break.
It worked on the double zeta that I did, but I don't know. I gotta think about it some more. It's for all the guys that are on here. I know it's hard to talk about it and do stuff at the same time, and right now it's failing for me right now. I gotta think about it a little bit more.
So we have another question in the room. It says Zabi Verkal uses LED, and just like someone else said yes, and I think yeah, it does use the LED, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely has an LED unit.
yeah,
this
neat trick
is-
considering it's got the cockpit in the head.
The Sazabi Verkla sitting on my shelf, I'm waiting for the day that I really, really wanted to tackle it.
You have a lot of kits like that.
No, I just think that that's the one that I want to strive for. Everybody does their own take on it, and I'm just waiting for the day where I have this badass idea that I want to do. So, got it. What was it in Gone in 50 Seconds? What was the car's name? That
Eleanor.
Eleanor, yeah. Everybody has an Eleanor. I think that's my Eleanor.
That movie was just on recently, too.
What's that?
That movie was just on recently, too.
Oh, yeah.
It was on TV like 3 days ago. I watched it.
So what I'm doing with these arm pieces here is that these used to be flush. I sanded them down to kind of give it a little separation from the armor pieces. Really expose the underside a little bit. You can't see it really right here, but added some panel lines to it. So these are almost about done. I've just got to sand off some of the nubs that I kept on when I was rebuilding it.
So is that going to be ready for April?
For Anime Expo?
No, in April.
It's Anime Expo, isn't it?
No, MAX was in July.
Oh, shit. It'll be done.
What are you new?
Will be done in April.
Is that ValleyCon?
No, it's Vegas Con.
Oh yeah,
You didn't go there. That's right. You guys went though.
it'll be done. I really was gung ho on the reboot, and then I don't know, holidays and stuff, and it was just easy to go to a relative's house and sand this down and do this stuff without bringing like milliput and stuff everywhere. And so I've been working on this more, so I'll give it more of my time to do it. It's weird though, because I just opened this kit really just to paint it, just to give me something to paint while I'm doing all kinds of other stuff on it. And I was like, oh man, you know what I could really do on this? I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. And I was like, I got really hyped up about it.
Yeah, you got it. You got the advanced Mahler syndrome.
The what?
Advanced Mahler syndrome.
If you open up some project and it turns out to be more complex than you thought, but you're having a good time with it, it's not a problem.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, I really hate the way this kit looks, but it's kind of like a blank canvas because it's,
Yep.
And so I've been really digging it so far.
We need to start doing LEDs.
Getting to what?
LEDs.
Yeah. You should hear Chuck talk about LEDs. He doesn't want to do it. He's doing a Valkyrie right now too. He says, "I'm not doing any LEDs. That's for you."
Well, I did LEDs in the Astray that I built. Didn't do it that well, but I did them. I'm surprised how long it lasted too, because I kept it on my shelf after our show. It lasted like 2 weeks.
You left it on the whole time?
Yeah, just to kind of gauge. I can easily replace the batteries, so I just wanted to see how long they would last. So,
I think it depends on how many you have running too.
well, there's 2 on each leg and then 1 in the head. But I haven't done like the 24 shit or whatever that like Angel's done on his Neo Zeong. The 90 mil.
Now you go at 30 something.
You guys ever get in a block though, like where like you're heavily modding something like I'm doing now, and then like you just want to paint something?
Yep.
Well, that's what I've been doing kind of with this Valkyrie too. Is I spend so much time on the arm and the claw and going back and forth and doing things, and pretty soon I just go, you know what, I need to, like you said, you need to paint something. So for the last week, that's all I did was build and paint. I mean, I was waiting for stuff too. Like I had ordered some magnets, and then I ordered some other stuff, and so I was waiting for that. And in the meantime, I was like, well, what can I do? I got to paint this. This isn't getting modified, so I can go ahead and build that section of it.
That's what I had to do with this. This is the goof.
I'm going to take out the magnets. So right now I'm getting back into the arm a little bit more. I've done a lot on the Valkyrie, and I got to set it down for a minute and start doing more.
I literally just picked something off my shelf and like that I had sanded down at my in-laws' house, and I painted this goof, and I was like, man, I probably just want to paint. I really like it though.
Get it sure.
Need more LEDs.
Huh?
Needs more LEDs.
You're getting into the situation again. It's like, well, do I want to spend the time doing it, or do I want to paint a kit and put it on my shelf?
Yeah, you just start going like me. And
So, Mike, thanks for those LEDs, by the way, man. They're going to work nicely, dude. I don't have the parts. I don't have the part with me, but the
Oh, those ones I gave you?
yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, man, those things are pretty nice. When I finally painted this, actually, this thruster is painted. You know, there's actually two colors on it. There's burnt iron on the inside. So yeah, there's burnt iron on the inside, and then steel on the outside. But when you put that LED through it,